All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, sisters of YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you my take. I've been having a bunch of private messages sent to me, and people want to know what my thoughts are on the world events, the social, the political, the economic situation, what's going on in our country, because I haven't spoke on it in quite some time. One reason why I haven't spoke on it in quite some time is because I've been extremely busy. I just got back in from Dallas, Texas not too long ago, taking care of business, and I'm back home. And of course, when I get back home, I'm backed up with work, and blase. Anyway, you don't want to hear all that, but anyway, right now in the world, it's amazing. Civil unrest. Listen to me very closely. We know that our country, the United States of America, is the biggest hypocrites that has ever been. It's amazing how when a country champions itself as to be the epitome of moral righteousness and social stability all across this globe, yet we see the hypocrisy. And of course, the definition of hypocrisy is, listen to this, the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform, i.e. pretense. That's our government. They don't conform to anything, yet they champion themselves to want to tell everybody else the way it ought to be. They have definitely civil unrest over in Ukraine. And of course, like I said, if you want to know what protest is, you go back over there and you look at these countries outside the United States of America. These people, they've lost everything. They're poor. They're not fearing getting locked up in jail or anything like that. They've got nothing to lose. But these people, there's more people than there are police. And these people are literally beating the police down. Now the police is rising up in force, and pretty soon there's going to be a lot of killing and murder going on. A lot of killing going on in these protests. Contrast that with the protests here in the United States of America. You remember the Occupy Wall Street movement? You remember that movement? There was a difference in protests depending on what city you were in. If you were in New York, you saw the people get their ass beat, literally. And you saw everything that the Barack Hussein Obama administration is trying to tell the government over there in the Ukraine what they're supposed to be doing in reference to how trying to handle their own people. And they call themselves condemning it. Who in the hell condemned our protest over here? The one thing I did notice is that in our country, the areas where guns are prohibited, there was no respect when it came to protests. Then you turn around and go to Arizona. And I remember this guy by the name of J.T. Reddy and his crew out there sitting there, but it was a very peaceful protest. You know why? Not only was the police armed, but the citizens was armed. And it was a peaceful protest because, after all, does not the Constitution of the United States of America said that the people have a right to protest their government for redress and a grievance? But you go to New York, and where guns are forbidden, the only people that have them are the criminals and the police. And you go up there and you so-called protest and stuff, you subject to get tear gassed, to beat down by a baton just for standing there. I saw them barricade up women and just spray them with gas and mace and everything else. But then you go down here in Arizona where people are acting dignified and stuff, there's a mutual respect. The mutual respect is because everybody's packing and carrying heat. That's letting you know something about the way that our country thinks. That's letting you know a lot if you can actually read between the lines. But, I think that the next protest that's coming this way, and let me give a trends forecast here in this country, because things are bad. I mean, Detroit Rock City is all but obliterated and done. But I tell you what, there are more people here in America than there are law enforcement. And we're not going to continue to keep seeing these injustices being perpetuated by a rigged, bootlegging, jacked up system that they call justice. The justice is not for us, the common people. It's for them, like Gerald Celente said. It's just us, and that's it. But I think more than anything, as a people, because I'm a pastor, so I need to try to, do my best to try to convey the truth to those of you out there that hear. Now, you have to understand, I'm a pastor, and I'm not without my critics as well. I have them out there. I just don't know too many of them. I don't know them. But, they're just like a bunch of fleas on a hot dog in the summertime. You just have to swat them and then get out of the area and just keep on going so you're not annoyed by them. But the one thing that the people need to understand today is timing. You have to understand timing. True revolutionists, and those who understand the values of the family at home. Those people are the ones who understand and get it. We see the spiritual bankruptcy. We see the moral decay. We see the degradation that is going on here and now. And I can't help but to wonder, the way I grew up, that at least we did have some form of morals. But definitely there's been a serious decline. And I can't help but to wonder 20 years from now, especially what is socially acceptable today, what type of country and what type of place this is going to be looking like. No doubt, for the informed mind, we are living in the post-Christian era. We've opened up the doors to every paganism and every freedom of religion. And of course, they have a right to worship who they want to, the way they want to, because the Constitution affords them that right. So when people are trying to deceive you and dupe you and trying to say that this is a Christian country, the education in this area is paramount, because you need to understand what that means to be a Christian country. You mean you follow whatever Rome, the Church of Rome, or the Catholic Church says. But that has nothing to do with the Bible or the scriptures at all. So henceforth, we're experiencing moral decay and spiritual bankruptcy on a precedented level. And the things that used to convict people, when we growing up, are no longer convictions today. They have actually become the norm, societal norm. So tolerance, as we all are seeing, has become the new trend of today. As paganism is just sweeping all across the society. Moral character, social relationships, they're all, the foundations of every single one of them are destroyed. And the one thing I've learned about a foundation, if it is destroyed, cracked, or compromised in any kind of way, shape, fashion, or form, you'll be a fool to sit up there and try to build on a foundation that is crumbled, because that house or that particular building that you're trying to build is not going to be able to stand if the foundation in itself is not solid. So we've lost our way here in this country, no doubt about it. And I don't see us gaining the way back anytime soon either. I don't see it coming at all. Socially, let's start there on socially and morally. Everybody assumes that you go to church in order to learn about. Here in America, they call him God. Okay, let's just go with that. They assume that's where you learn morality at. But see, just like I said a long time ago, when people was making a big hissy fit about the government and the ACLU and all the rest of these people removing the commandments out of the school. I mean, they cut a fit. So I had people ask me on my radio broadcast, perceived patriots. They asked me, well, Pastor Dowell, what do you think about it? I said, I don't think nothing about it at all. And they said, why? Aren't you upset, Pastor Dowell? I said, no, not at all. And they said, why? And I said, because I think different than y'all do. You've been trained, coerced, manipulated to think a certain way, and you've defined morality and righteousness by the truth that you have chosen to accept in your own conscience without even checking it out to see if it's truth or not. I mean, are you sure you're thinking right? Or who told you thought right when you really never really tested or weighed or tried anything against anything? And of course, if you don't have a foundation of what truth is and stuff, you're just going to continue to keep on with these little social arguments and stuff, but nothing is never going to change because you have lost your way and you depend on the government to make all the changes for you. But I told him, I said, I think the problem is this. Number one, I'm not mad because, first of all, my children don't go to public school. At the time, both of them was homeschooled. And so it didn't affect me one bit at all. But looking from the perspective of the outside looking in, and since some people do value my perspective and opinion, I told him, I said, the problem is this, and let's just get to the first line teachers here. The man who is supposed to be the patriarchal rule or the king of his house, he is the one that is charged by the creator of the universe to actually teach his children what is right and what is wrong. If he taught his children what the Ten Commandments says and follow the morality of it, and he would teach his children just like the Bible says, and he would be the actual priest of the home, just like the scripture says, You could, if you choose to allow your children to go out here and to be taught by a bunch of witches and warlocks and the Wiccans and everything else, that's your prerogative. But if you had done your job at home, you being the first line teachers, fathers and mothers, father being the priest of the home, making sure he's teaching his family what morality is, and then the mother's making sure she implementing how to bring these people up in a society in order to function righteously and try to get out of here with a lot of less pain that normally would be on people. Then you wouldn't have to worry about it. Hey, if they removed the 10 Commandments out of school, they didn't remove it out of your heart. So anyway, that was the end of that radio broadcast because people didn't want to hear what I had to say. Do you know the reason why they didn't want to hear what I had to say? Because I'm going to put the responsibility back where it belongs, which is on you. You see, here in this country, we have what I call over and over again an entitlement mentality, where we expect everybody to do everything for us. And then when things do not go the way that we expect them to go because we have anticipated that people would do certain things for us, then that gives us a right to murmur, gripe, and complain, bawl, squall, and neck stretch, bellyache, and everything else, and any other superlatives you want to use. But the bottom line is nothing still changes. Nothing still changes until this right here first is change, i.e. your mind. And so we know that in this country there is much need for reconstruction and reform. But where is it going to come from? And who is it going to come from? Since everybody is pretty much jacked up on the moral and social issues. And the reason why we're jacked up is because we have too much trusted in the God of government. Politically, we think that they're going to straighten everything out for us. And you have to get out of that mindset. But you have a right to live and breathe. You have a right to be dumb on purpose. You have a right to pick and choose each and every day. Choices and decisions you want to make. My job is since some people do value my opinion, is to present what I believe to be truth because I've not only practiced it, I have wisdom from it. And wisdom is basically applied knowledge. I have wisdom from it and found out that it does work. So I'm not all mentally disturbed in an uproar like a lot of people are. Because they choose to be, because they refuse to actually accept responsibility for themselves and actually do, an old-fashioned value, which is, why don't you learn how to cut a living for yourself? How about you learn how to provide for yourself and your family without depending on the government to do it for you? But since you believe in the God of government, and when they don't meet your expectations, who you gonna go bellyache and complain to? You surely ain't gonna come to me, because I've already told you what's right, and your conscience is gonna condemn you. So you have no choice but to serve who you submit to, and that's all there is to it. Economically, when you don't know what sound money is no more, this is sound money. It's called kesef in the Hebrew, is silver and gold. And when you don't know what sound money is, and you're walking around with paper in your pocket and ironclad slugs, and you're not storing your wealth impending the upcoming economic collapse, since we know that the collapse in 2008, 2009 is just a prelude of bad things to come. You have to have the stomach to be able to weigh out these storms and stuff, and to be patient. This is something that we don't like in this generation. We are a microwave generation, and we want things here. We want it now. We want it done yesterday, and I want people to put up with my attitude and my sorry, pious, pompous spirit, and you just make sure that when you exist in this life, that some way, somehow, you do something in this life to make sure that you make me feel more comfortable. I don't adopt those principles whatsoever at all. I think that the only way that people are ever going to learn anything in life is when they learn how to experience a lot of pain. And of course, most people have been insulated from that pain because, mama and daddy has done provided everything for you. Now you're grown and you don't know how to function, and find out that there's a cold, hard, and cruel world out there. Well, let's lay the blame right where it belongs. Sorry ass fathers. That's exactly where it belongs. Sorry ass fathers who think they know everything and don't know a damn thing. That's the problem right there. And that's the reason why our country is all jacked up. And that's the reason why our children are all jacked up, because the fathers did not put any fear or conviction in their heart to tell them what's right for wrong, because they were too busy watching their ball games, or either taking the children to the ball games, too busy trying to have aspirations and dreams of them so-called making it big in what they call the sports world and stuff. And you can't build any country or society, much less an empire, on somebody playing sports. You need doctors. You need people who know how to work with their hands, know how to do construction and stuff. People and industrial people. That's what you need. Entertainment ain't never produced a society that's worth anything. And of course, how do you know this? If you refuse to continue to keep on listening to the wrong people. Now, it's your choice. It is. So people continue to keep asking me my advice. It's the same that it always been. Number one, get out of the city. Why you want to be stuck in them cities? Have you not seen the civil unrest that takes place whenever there's some type of natural disaster or some type of catastrophe or some type of hit like there was on the World Trade Center? Have you not seen the response of people during Katrina and stuff? Do you mean to tell me that you have confidence in humanity, that people are going to be benevolent and respond to you the right way? Now, I don't believe I'm deceived. If I'm deceived, then there is no hope in this world at all, because I think definitely outside the box. And you need to come to the reality that some of you, your only greatest accomplishment that you ever did in the world is fell out of some hole from your mama in Kansas or New York or New Jersey or wherever you were born from. That's all you've ever accomplished in life. And somebody need to get in your face and talk to you like this, and maybe it'll motivate you to do something other than sit up and bellyache and bawl and squall. Maybe you'll pull yourself up and cowboy up by your own bootstraps and start getting something done. Maybe you'll just change your little wicked mind out there. Now, I know that I run the risk of making even more enemies with that kind of talk right there. And I told you, this is a very sensitive generation, that you have these things that call themselves men. They'll be the one trying to attack a man right here. Except one thing about this man right here, this man fires back. But I'm trying to reach just a few, not many. It's not going to be many. The world is gone as we know it. It's done. It's finished. Education is not the answer. You remember the government was selling you education, and we got all the education in the world now. We're no longer an industrialized nation. We are an educated nation. So therefore, we're a bunch of educated fools, and look at us. We're declining at every standpoint, every viewpoint, every perspective, every point on the board, all across the world. Now, it makes me wonder, who is telling the truth and who is speaking right and who is speaking wrong? I know one thing, keep storing food. Keep storing food and get you a whole lot of ammo. And learn how to become very proficient on a firearm. Because if a man don't know how to take care of his own house, you're worse than an infidel. And of course, we have a whole nation full of people that are just nothing but infidels. But the hypocrisy of the American government to sit up and stick his nose in and even have an opinion on how the government should be treating their people when they definitely don't lead by examples. You people got to stop listening to that mess. You got to turn that junk off. Please turn that junk off and start listening to someone that makes sense. And if I'm not making sense, can somebody please chime in down here at the bottom and leave me a note and point me in a direction who is making sense? Because like I said, what I'm doing seems to be working. And not only that, not only does it seem to be working fine, but these hands, because of the choices and decisions I make, is not only working, but they're able to feed many miles and many people. Well, you just heard the truth, and that's the truth straight way. I hope you don't get distracted by things that do not matter, but that you'll consider what I say. And we pray that the Creator, Universe, the Eternal, the Most High Yahweh Himself will give you understanding is my prayer. So that's my news update for those who value my opinion and want to hear it, and those who don't, hey, it makes no difference to me. Still ain't going to change what I say or what I believe one bit whatsoever at all. Y'all be encouraged. Be encouraged out there and smile. Regardless. Those of us the Israelites, we're occupying until He comes. We're separating ourselves. We're being quiet. We're living a quiet and peaceful life. And we're preparing because destruction and hellfire, brimstone, and damnation is sure to follow. And it's coming. And it's on its way to a city, to a town, and to a country, Providence, and a parish near you.